Howdy. This is going to be an instructional video. I'm doing this to kind of give the new scouts that we've got kind of an idea about backpacking and what you need to bring when we backpack and what not to bring. Everything that I'm going to show you here came out of my backpack. I tend to pack a little heavier than probably most people. But this is just to kind of give you a rough idea about what we put in our backpacks when we pack. I'm going to show you here real fast that there are two types of basic backpacks. This is my backpack, this red one. That's an external frame. The reason we call it an external frame is because the frame is on the outside. Mine is a Mountain Smith. And mine's probably not as comfortable as my son's. My son has an external frame as well, but it's got a lot more padding, as you can see. And it's really all about comfort whenever you're hiking. The only complaint that I have with my backpack is occasionally it gets rides down on me a little bit, and it gets a little uncomfortable. Alright, so as I pan around over here, this all came out of my backpack. And this is going to give you an idea about what we have in a typical backpack. So I'm going to zoom in on this first. These are my pots and my pans. And when you start buying pots and pans, you're going to want to buy a kit where they all come together. And as you can see, I got a fry pan, I've got a little boiler here, I got another small boiler here, there's a cup inside there, and then the lid goes on top of everything, and then there's a bag that everything fits in nice and neat. When I'm done cooking my food, I've got a nice little squishy bowl here, and this is William's bowl actually. I usually just eat out of the pan, or I find something else to eat in. But this little squishy bowl is quite neat. The neat thing about it is it's very light. And the Boy Scout rule is if it's not lighter than a feather, don't pack it. This is obviously not as light as a feather, but it's very light, very flexible. And you can really just kind of do whatever you want with it. Throw it in your backpack and stuff it wherever. That's one of the things that a lot of Boy Scouts like, these squishy bowls. And the really cool thing about this bowl is it's actually a dog bowl. But the size is one of the reasons why he likes it so much. A water container of some type. Most Scouts carry 2 or 3 of these things, but generally, generally you want to carry as much water as you're going to need. To go with the water, not every Scout has one of these, and right now I kept it in the bag. This is a water pump. This is what we use to purify our water. Some Scouts don't use pumps. They use iodine tablets. It's really a personal choice. I personally don't like the iodine tablets. They make the water taste funny. You can change the flavor of the water by adding those little packets to them and changing out the flavor if you so choose so. If I pan over here, you're going to notice my stove. This is a backpacking stove. You can tell there's not much to it. And this one actually folds up very small, fits in the palm of my hand. And I always carry at least 1 can of fuel that I'm using, and then I always carry a spare with me, just in case I need it. And I've also got a lighter in there as well. One thing that you always want to make sure that you have is plenty of fuel, because you never know when you're going to run out. Stoves are really a personal preference too. Some people like white gas. I really prefer blended fuel or even propane. just so that you're not messing with the white gas and you have to pump on the stove. This is very simple. It's quick, it's easy, it's not messy. This is a Peak 1 by Coleman. They ran about 25 bucks when I bought this a few years ago at I think it was Walmart, but I'm not plugging Walmart. You definitely are going to need this. This is a cat hole shovel. Some cat hole shovels are plastic. This one's a little heavier, but the reason I like this is because of the folding handle. Makes it very portable, and it folds up into its own little pocket there when you're done using it. I'm not going to get into what you need a cat hole shovel for. Just let your imagination run wild. Actually, I've never actually had to use a cat hole shovel, but I know people that have, and it's saved them. Toilet paper is always a must, but I don't like that not so fresh feeling when I get from having to use toilet paper in the wild. These are actually baby wipes. Again, it's kind of a personal preference. These aren't going to break down as much in nature when you put them in the cat hole, but or not as fast, I should say. They won't break down as fast, but again, they'll break down eventually. It's just paper. If you notice, everything I've shown you is in a bag, and that's really another big thing. You want to really try to contain a lot of your gear in some type of container or bag. Some more of my cookware over here, and I'm trying not to get too scattered, but this is actually a lot of my bigger cookware that I keep in this plastic container. This is by MSR. This actually has some folding spatulas, some containers for eggs, and some other things in it. If I can open it up here very quickly and let you take a look. Everything again is all about portability and storage in the backpacking business. So I've got a nice neat spatula here that I can just fold up and put away. And I've got a big spoon here, and this thing is really cool. I can actually hook it to the side of my pan there, and it becomes a colander. There are also a couple of little egg containers, and there's some salt and pepper in here, and I think I keep cayenne pepper in there. I always keep a little roll of duct tape with me wherever I go. This is actually come in quite handy. Again, everything is multi-purpose in Boy Scouts and in backpacking. Here is a knife, a spoon, and a fork all in one. I don't know how well you can see that, but there are little tines on the edge of this fork that doubles as a knife. The only drawback to this design is you actually have to hold the meat to cut it with your fingers. You have to hold it with your fingers to cut it. My flashlight, you only really need a headlamp. Again, it comes in a little bag. You can pick these up pretty much anywhere. This one is actually a little larger than most of the ones, but still fairly light and fairly portable. Again, it's all about portability. It's all about trying to be as light as a feather. I've got some personal hygiene things in here, my little bit of bug spray that I carry, soap, some shampoos. Back here I've got some antibacterial stuff for my hands, my toothbrush, my toothpaste. Everything is about portability. I always carry a little plastic bag with me for my garbage. A rain poncho is really essential, just so that you've got something in case it is raining you can throw over yourself and your backpack, and then just continue on to the trail. Some camp soap. Some people carry this, some people don't. It's good stuff. Camp soap is different from dish soap. It is biodegradable, and it does break down in nature, and it doesn't have a weird taste if you don't so much get all of it out of the pan if you use it the next morning. I always carry some teas, some coffee with me if you choose to do so, but here's really what I was wanting to show you with this next little thing here. These are wonderful. These little drink pouches. If you like me and you kind of get bored of drinking water on the trail, you can throw some of these in your drink, and it does change the flavor quite a bit. And they're very, very light. All right, so one of the next things I'm going to show you here, and one of the last things, that's my tent. That's my my bedroll that I sleep on, and then that is my sleeping bag. Very, very small, very, very light. My tent is a one-man bivy tent. Most scouts will double up. You might carry half the tent. The other person might carry the other half. My bedroll is a little large, but you need some type of ground cover to lay on. My sleeping bag is fairly small, but again, like I said, size and portability and weight are all part of this game that we call backpack camping. So it is something to think about as you're starting to purchase some of these things. And some of them can get a little some items can get a little pricey as you're buying things. Most of the items that I've shown you are relatively inexpensive, but some of the big ticket items, the tent can range anywhere from $80 to $100. The sleeping bag there, again, $80 to $100, depending on if it falls on sale, and the water pump right there, that's probably about $80, and the cartridges run about $30. The cartridges really do not need to be replaced except about every 5,000 liters of water. You do have to wash them periodically because the crud that we pump up does clog up the filter occasionally. But most of everything else that I've shown you is really fairly inexpensive. You just have to kind of start collecting it. The backpack as well will run you, a good backpack might run you $125, $130. This is probably going to be one of the last things I'm going to show you here as well. And my medical kit is kind of big. Being the troop leader, I want to make sure I've got plenty of safety equipment for all the guys. But you need to have at least some small backpacking medical gear. Band-aids, some moleskin just in case you get a blister on your foot is essential. Some type of pain reliever, if you take Advil or aspirin or something along those lines, you're going to want to carry some of those basic essential items, because when we go backpacking, there is no Walmart, there is nothing. We are out in the wilderness kind of on our own, and you will find none of those items available to you unless someone else has brought them with you. I hope this has been beneficial. We'll have more discussions about this as we get ready to go backpacking this summer and into the fall. So I'll give you one last look of everything kind of spread out among around the floor, and then I've got to go packing.